Thank you very much, Presiding Officer, and let me just pick up on what my colleague has just said. My college at Banff and Buchan in Fraserburgh and elsewhere, of course, that's part of the Skills Academy, is a very welcome addition, both in employment but also in supporting what the industry needs in the way of skills. The Energetica corridor extends from Aberdeen up to Peterhead in my constituency. It will be a very important access for the next generation of energy, as it has been in the current exploitation of oil and gas resources off our coasts over the last decades. It has very largely insulated the north east of Scotland from the economic downturn. You go to Aberdeen, you see a very different environment from almost all the rest of Scotland. So we highly value this industry. But of course, hydrocarbons that we've been talking about here, for which we have many decades yet to come, are not simply something that's used to generate electricity, to power transport. It's also very important as a chemical feedstock. And one of the things that we will see over the period of our exploitation of this natural but limited resource is a move away from using this for transportation and directly generating electricity. Briefly.
Does he worry, as I do, that the MSPs who stand here in the 2050s and debate these issues will curse us for burning the hydrocarbons which they will consider too valuable to burn?
Stewart Stevenson.
We have to map our transition, not just in Scotland, but across Europe and across the world. And one of the things that I think is a huge economic and environmental opportunity is the development of carbon capture and storage, not simply for ourselves, but as an exportable technology and a technology that we can use our engineers to support. When, on a couple of occasions, I've discussed that subject, for example, with ministers in the Polish government, where 90 to 95% of their electricity comes from coal or from lignite, which is not simply CO2 polluting, but hugely sulphurous as well. We could play a key role in helping other countries, such as Poland, address their issues, because their transition to a different world will be much more lengthy and more difficult. So I think it's not just simply a matter of economic imperative, it also has an environmental benefit as well. Now, we've heard a bit in the debate already about the need for certainty, and I want to just say a few words about that. The Chief Corporate Officer of Iberdrola, Keith Anderson, who also heads up Scottish Power Renewables, there is that intimate link across the energy sector, has captured it, I think, for the industry when he said, give the clarity now and let us understand the mechanism and you will see the investment come through in an orderly fashion. That's in the context, of course, of the energy bill, because the industry is very uncomfortable about what they see. They want to see that there is that kind of certainty. There's another interesting aspect as to whether the way forward can depend on fracking, for example. And I particularly tacked tent of Charles Henry, who was previously Energy Minister in the UK, and I know the Minister, our Minister knows him well, who points out that shale gas is very unlikely to play a significant role in the UK. Now, that's partly environmental, it's partly economic, but it just isn't going to make sense in the UK. So, therefore, there will be a fundamental and continuing role for renewable energy and, of course, huge economic opportunities for us. Now, Rhoda Grant raised some questions, which are proper questions, about the transition to an independent Scotland. And I just popped out of the chamber, Presiding Officer, to get the factual information which I knew I had online. The UK government has passed 23 acts since 1946, acts of independence. So the UK government is quite experienced at doing this. They're all very short. The longest one is 8 pages. And in particular, I pick up the legal transfer, which is almost invariably expressed in the following terms. Subject to the provisions of this section, the existing laws shall, notwithstanding the revocation of existing orders or the establishment of a republic, in this particular case I'm quoting for Kiribati, continue in force on and after Independence Day. In other words, there is a legal certainty at that level. Now, the question was posed, what happens to contracts? It's worth saying that, first of all, legal legislation by Parliament trumps contracts. But in any event, contracts that are in the commercial world are very rarely without a provision for novation, which is about the transfer of either the purchaser or the supplier to another party. So in commercial terms, that applies. So there is no difficulty about the mechanics of the transfer. The real issue is, would the Scottish Government post-independence be motivated to maintain the certainty, to maintain an environment that would be internationally competitive for the investments that we need, that would enable this industry to have a long-term future with us? I think beyond peradventure, when we look at the benefits that we derive in economic terms in our communities in the north east of Scotland and elsewhere, the answer is undoubtedly yes, Presiding Officer.